What is going on, guys? Still waiting on one piece of news. Pretty irritating. What's going on? Okay, we should probably get going before we get this news and my voice completely goes out. Okay, so hope it comes 5 minutes before lock. I mean, that would have been nice yesterday. You know, honestly, we got these Lakers guys like way lower owned than I thought we would have yesterday. Okay. Let's get it going. I'm constantly going to be checking my notifications. Danilo Gallinari is in. So Gallinari and DeAndre Hunter are back today. So the wings, the minutes in the wings become very, very spread out. Not really considering anybody there. Probably prefer DeAndre Hunter the most of them, but that is about it. But let's just jump right into the slate, guys. Hunter is available as well. Okay. All right. We will start off with the Charlotte Hornets versus the Orlando Magic. The Charlotte Hornets are going to be without PJ Washington, and Terry Rozier was just officially ruled out. Kelly Oubre should enter the starting lineup. Mason Plumlee's minutes are very, very secure now that PJ Washington is out, and so he really doesn't have a main backup behind him. They will play small. Nick Richards will play some, but they will play small with Miles Bridges. Lou Williams is out. So I don't mind Mason Plumlee, but there are so many good center plays on this slate. And with this first game, and with the AD news kind of just looming around, if we don't get AD news before 6 o'clock Central Time, the time that the slate locks, I'm just going to go ahead and fade this game entirely and wait till we get that news. Karis LeVert is ruled out, so Chris Duarte's minutes are very, very secure. They're going to continue to be secure. So from the Charlotte side, I really am just considering LaMelo Ball up top in tournaments only. So far this year, averaging 1.52 fantasy points per minute. His minutes have been all over the place due to either foul trouble, blowouts, or the bench getting super hot and keeping these starters off of the court. But I do think that he plays around 33 minutes in these competitive games where he's avoiding all these weird outcomes. And then Kelly Oubre at $5,700 is going to grab the start. I think he's more of a secondary play, but definitely viable on the slate. Raul Neto is out as well. Move over to the Orlando Magic. They are going to be without Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Etuan Moore, and Chuma Okeke. Gary Harris debuted last game, and with him being back, it really eats into the minutes of Franz Wagner. We saw Wagner's minutes get cut back a bit last time, and he's more of a shooting dependent kind of guy. So if he's not going to play, mid-30s minutes like he was, I'm not really considering him any longer. Jalen Suggs is only $5,000. He continues to lead the team with a 27.1% usage rating, but his playing time has been pretty unstable and mostly due to him playing poorly. But with the opportunities that he's given, and with him starting, he's going to have the first opportunity to play a lot. So if he's playing well, he's going to be rewarded with more minutes. So I don't mind Jalen Suggs in tournaments. I like his overs on Prize Picks if you guys watched my video earlier. And then the rest of this team, I'm not really all that interested in, because while they are missing a ton of bodies, the minutes are very, very spread out. If you really if you're playing like a showdown for this or something, I guess I don't mind Mo Bamba and Cole Anthony as well. Move over to the Washington Wizards versus the Boston Celtics. Thomas Bryant, Rui Hashimura, Cassius Winston, Anthony Gill are all out. Raul Neto also just now ruled out. Starters lost a ton of minutes last game due to blowout. But with Bradley Beal back, I'm not really considering anybody on this team. Their prices are all inflated, especially when we're talking about Dinwiddie and Kuzma, because they absolutely went off in the absence of Bradley Beal. Now with him back, it runs really, really thin, just because he garners so much usage and so much assist percentage, and he plays the most minutes on this team as well. So it's not like these guys are going to be out there on the court when Bradley Beal's not, so or at least for not very long. So I'm not really considering anybody on this team. Bradley Beal, more affordable on FanDuel. I think he's a decent option over there. I think he's $8,600, which if you go back to his rates going back last year with no Russell Westbrook on the court, the numbers were through the roof. And then Daniel Gafford, Montrezl Harrell are going to continue to split all 48 center minutes, at least as long as the game is competitive. The minute split has been relatively even so far. Gafford was going to play more than him last game, and then the game before, Harrell ended up playing more. Gafford was dealing with foul trouble in that game, but Harrell ended up closing over Gafford. The Boston Celtics are going to be without Romeo Langford. Al Horford is officially back after returning. He missed last game. It was the second leg of a back-to-back, and it was used as a rest day. I do like Al Horford quite a bit at $5,800. With him being back, Dennis Schroeder is going to go back to the bench, and then Robert Williams, I think, takes a massive hit in productivity while playing next to Al Horford. So I'm off of Robert Williams. I actually lean his under over on Prize Picks. And then Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they are really two of the only offensive options they have on this team, but they eat into each other so much that I'm not really considering either of these guys, especially with much better plays later on in the slate. And Jason Tatum's kind of priced at the point as if Jaylen Brown were to be ruled out. Move over to the Miami Heat versus the Brooklyn Nets. The Miami Heat, they are going to be without Victor Oladipo, of course. Tyler Hero looks like he's going to be playing 28 to 30 minutes per game off of the bench. But with his team completely healthy, I'm not really all that interested in anybody. It is a very good matchup, I will say that. And Tyler Hero leads his team with a 30.8% usage rating. He was on pace to play 30 minutes last game before his minutes got cut a couple minutes short due to a blowout. Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry especially. I mean, Kyle Lowry is definitely taking a back seat to this team, and even when he's playing next to Tyler Hero, Tyler Hero has the ball in his hands, and when amongst the starters, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo have the ball in their hands before Kyle Lowry ever does. So I'm definitely, if I had to rank my favorite plays on this team, it'd probably be Butler, Adebayo, and then Tyler Hero in that order, and then I'm not considering anybody else on that team. Move over to the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving is out. I'm interested to see what the starting lineup ends up being. LaMarcus Aldridge. So 2 games ago, Blake Griffin missed, and LaMarcus Aldridge got a bump. Then last game, Blake Griffin returned. LaMarcus Aldridge rested. But it looks like both those guys are going to be healthy today. Interested to see what the starting lineup ends up being, because if Bruce Brown is in the starting lineup again, he is only $3,700. He's a good secondary value play. And if we don't get the value in the Lakers game later on, Bruce Brown becomes much more viable. He played 27 minutes off the bench 2 games ago, 30 minutes starting last game. But with both of them healthy now, maybe the minutes get cut back. If he's starting, I feel comfortable with him, but that's something we're going to have to wait and see what the starting lineup is. James Harden, I can't really go to him right now. He looks like he is just not adapting to the new rule changes. And so one of the best plays on Prize Picks, and if it's still there, I would still suggest getting in on it. It would be the under, so the under 5.5 free throws made for James Harden in this game. He just has yet to hit that. He hasn't even had that many free throw attempts so far this year. 4 attempts, 1 attempt, 3 attempts. I like the under 5.5 free throws made, because even if he gets 5, 6, he's got to make them. So I like the under over there on Prize Picks. And then Kevin Durant, 10,500. Can't really go wrong with him. It is a tougher matchup. And as long as James Harden is struggling with these rules, he stands to benefit for sure. But usually when it comes to Brooklyn. I'm really just targeting the 2 studs just because the entire production is condensed within those 2 guys. And then there's always some decent value plays off of the bench. Don't mind Bruce Brown as long as he's getting the start. The Atlanta Hawks versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The Hawks are going to be without Onyeka Okongwu and Lou Williams. Danilo Gallinari is back. So is DeAndre Hunter after his 1-game absence. So with Gallinari and DeAndre Hunter back, it really eats into the minutes of guys like Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter. The minutes are going to be very, very spread out amongst the wings for the Atlanta Hawks. Not really interested in anybody there. I will say Trae Young does seem a bit too cheap at $9,000 at this price point. John Collins is right there at $6,300, but for a little bit less, I would prefer getting to Al Horford. And then Clint Capella, looks like he was on pace to surpass 28 minutes, 29 minutes last game before the game got out of hand. But, with him not playing 32, 34 minutes like we've seen in the past, his upside just really isn't there, but could definitely pay off that price tag at $6,500. Move over to the New Orleans Pelicans. They're going to be without Zion Williamson and Josh Hart. So Herbert Jones is going to start for the 4th straight night. And, man, this is pretty funny. 29 minutes, 32 minutes. He has yet to exceed 15.5 fantasy points. He is only $3,300. If you want to pay for around 30 minutes for that price tag, I mean, you can definitely do worse. His usage percentage right now is 8%. So, I mean, it's really, really just incredible what he's doing out there. But Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Devontae Graham should all play 35-plus minutes. I mean, on a per-game basis, as long as these games are competitive and they're respectively avoiding foul trouble, it looks like these guys are going to play massive minutes, and all the production is in between those guys. And especially with Josh Hart out, Josh Hart didn't carry the highest usage rating, but it was a lot higher than Herbert Jones. So that's a boost to those guys with Josh Hart out again. Devontae Graham, probably my favorite play from the Pelicans, just given his price at $5,700. I think that's a bit too cheap for his new facilitating role on the New Orleans Pelicans. The Indiana Pacers versus the Toronto Raptors. The Pacers, they are going to be without TJ Warren, Karis LeVert, and Keelan Martin. Miles Turner has been in foul trouble the last 2 games, like severe foul trouble, and that has given minutes to O'Shea Brissett. Maybe some box score watchers are going to look at the O'Shea Brissett minutes the last couple of games, but they are inflated due to Miles Turner getting into foul trouble. Now, if you want to predict him getting into foul trouble again, I mean, sure, go with O'Shea Brissett, but I don't envision that happening, or at least trying to predict that. So Miles Turner, I'm not really on. Brissett, I'm definitely off of. And then with Karis LeVert continuing to be out, Chris Duarte should play mid-30s minutes in competitive games. $5,600. I mean, that's a pretty affordable price tag for him. Not really a range I'm getting to today, but if I had to choose between him and Devontae Graham, who I just talked about, I think I prefer Graham. Chris Duarte, relatively scoring dependent. And then up top, Domantas Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon. This is one of my favorite tournament stacks on the entire slate, just because of where the production really lies on both of these teams, especially with Indiana. I mean, it's really just Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon. They're going to play huge minutes, high 30s minutes. This is a great matchup against the Toronto Raptors, and it's very easy to bring it back with some of these Raptors guys. Domantas Sabonis up top, one of the best options on the slate. Pay up options at $9,900, and you can fit in 2 or 3 of these studs tonight, especially if Anthony Davis is ruled out. If Anthony Davis is ruled in, I prefer Anthony Davis to Domantas Sabonis, but yeah, there should be enough value regardless of what happens with AD. Move over to the Toronto Raptors. They're going to be without Pascal Siakam and Yuta Watanabe. OG Anunoby finally played in a game where it didn't blow out last game, and he wasn't dealing with foul trouble. He ended up playing 38 minutes and putting up 44.5 fantasy points. We just keep going back to the well with OG Anunoby. It's a great matchup against the Pacers. If you're playing Malcolm Brogdon or somebody on the other side, you can bring it back with OG Anunoby. He's one of my favorite plays, probably my favorite play given his price over here. And then Fred VanVleet, I mean, he played 42 minutes in last game, and it was in regulation. He put up 50 fantasy points, $7,800. He is definitely viable. I prefer him to Malcolm Brogdon. And then Scotty Barnes, he played 39 minutes last game. Precious Achiuwa, he should be playing 32 minutes a game as well, and he's only $4,900. Gary Trent Jr. has started the last 3 games after coming off the bench in game 1 for Goran Dragic, and he has played mid-30s, and he's only $4,800. Has guard and forward eligibility. And then Goran Dragic, I mean, he continues to only play like 13-14 minutes a game. We slammed the under on him, like 23 fantasy points on Prize Picks the last time he played, and that hit pretty easily because he's only playing 13-14 minutes. But yeah, from this Raptors team, I mean, I'm considering VanVleet. I'm considering the entire starting lineup, but really focusing in on OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. Move over to the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Milwaukee Bucks. The Timberwolves are a healthy team, but after dealing with a blowout and foul trouble the first 2 games, Karl-Anthony Towns played 40 minutes and put up 70 fantasy points last time out. Yeah, he's one of the best spend up options on the entire slate, but unfortunately he comes at a center position that is just absolutely stacked. And so getting up to him, he needs to pay off that price tag, because there's going to be a ton of centers that are like Steven Adams price and under that are going to pay off their price tags and more. But I do like Karl-Anthony Towns a lot tonight, especially in this matchup against Milwaukee, who is out without a real big today. Unless, I mean, you can't even really consider Bobby Portis a real big. So he is definitely undersized. Cat should be able to do whatever he wants tonight. And then Anthony Edwards should play high 30s minutes in competitive games like he has been through the first 3 games. He is the clear second offensive option behind Cat, ahead of D'Angelo Russell, and his minutes are as secure as they come on this team. I like him at $7,700. And then, yeah, the D'Angelo Russell thing is definitely interesting. With Patrick Beverley returning from his 1-game suspension, it was my fear that Russell would have his minutes cut back, and it looks like it's coming into fruition, because the last couple of games he doesn't really exceed 29-30 minutes a game, and at 7,100 I just really can't get there. On top of that, he's really only the 3rd option on the offense when he's out there with Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. The Milwaukee Bucks are going to be without Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday, and Dante DiVincenzo. Semi Ojeleye and Bobby Portis will be active for the first time this year, and that really just ruins the value plays on this team, like Pat Connaughton, Jordan Nwora. George Hill, I think, is still fine, because he's probably going to start at point guard and continue to play 28 to 30 minutes. I think that's fine. But Grayson Allen, I think he gets a big downgrade as well, even though I think he should start. But really just focusing on Giannis Antetokounmpo up top. Without Drew Holiday since the beginning of last year, he has a 33.6% usage rating, 18 total rebound percentage, 34.9 assist percentage, while averaging 1.72 fantasy points per minute. Going to be playing mid-30s minutes. This is a great matchup for him. He is only $10,800. I still think that's too cheap for him. Whenever he's on the slate without Drew Holiday, I mean, you would pay this price on a normal basis with Drew Holiday. Now we take Drew Holiday out of the picture, and like you need to be playing Giannis whenever he is on the slate in this circumstance. Move over to the Los Angeles Lakers. So LeBron James is officially ruled out. They are also going to be without Talon Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, Trevor Ariza. And then Anthony Davis is currently questionable, so this is really going to dictate the entire slate. If I'm expecting Anthony Davis to sit, he played big minutes in overtime yesterday. It is the second leg of a back-to-back. It seems like it is a legitimate injury, and it is also Anthony Davis. So Anthony Davis will sit whenever it's even probable to happen. So I'm expecting him to sit. Regardless, Russell Westbrook is an absolute lock on this slate in OKC. I think it's a great matchup, revenge factor if you want to add that in. Here, 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. And then with Anthony Davis potentially being out, that is going to open up massive minutes for Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan. So the thing that has been wrong with Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan has not been their, so Bobby Portis and Semi Ojeleye are officially in. It hasn't been the fantasy production on a permanent basis from Jordan and Howard. It's been the minutes. With how they run the rotations on the Lakers, they will only play one stint per half, and then Anthony Davis will play the rest of the minutes at the 5. But if Anthony Davis is ruled out, Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan would likely play all 48 center minutes. I guess there is some possibility that they could give some small ball run to Carmelo Anthony at the 5. But if I had to put my money on it, I would say that they would split all 48 center minutes in this game. They are all well over a fantasy point per minute. Dwight Howard is my choice of the two. You could definitely play both of them together if Anthony Davis is ruled out. But I mean, we go back to just last year in a very large sample size with the Sixers. Dwight Howard averaged 1.19 fantasy points per minute. He's been killing it this year as well. I would love Dwight Howard if he's ruled out. Malik Monk is going to grab the start again, regardless of AD being ruled in or out. So I love Malik Monk. I think he's a lock on this slate. I don't really like Kent Bazemore. It doesn't really matter how many minutes he's given. I suppose if AD was out that he would get some usage bump, but not much for me to be all over him. And then Carmelo Anthony. If AD is out, I love him. But if AD is playing, I'm not really on Carmelo Anthony. Kind of burned me yesterday. He just wasn't playing very well. I guess you could go back to the well with him. I think he's going to have the opportunity. If he plays well, he's going to earn more minutes. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to wait for news on the Anthony Davis situation. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they are healthy. Derek Favors is returning after his 1-game rest day. But the starters in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Darius Bazley, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, they've all seen price decreases, outside of Darius Bazley. So SGA and Dort specifically are my two favorite teams on this Oklahoma City squad. And if you are playing 3-4 of these Lakers guys, you are assuming that this game is going to stay competitive. And so I would want to bring it back with some of them, specifically SGA and Lou Dort. Over to the Sacramento Kings versus the Phoenix Suns. The Kings have no injuries. Marvin Bagley has only entered the rotation in one game, and that was pretty situational. They were all shorthanded, and then they were dealing with foul trouble, so they just had to use him. But outside of that, you should expect 0 minutes out of Bagley. Richaun Holmes should be playing low 30s minutes in competitive games where he's not dealing with foul trouble. He is averaging 1.37 fantasy points per minute. He is only $5,900. I think he is one of the best plays on the entire slate. But again, it just goes to show how stacked center is today. Move over to the Phoenix Suns. Dario Saric and Cameron Payne are out. So Cam Payne missed last game, and he's usually the first man off of the bench in place of Chris Paul. And that's just a pretty normal thing for the Suns. But with Cam Payne out, Elfrid Payton ended up taking that spot. He is the bare minimum, and he put up a pretty crazy stat line. He played 25 minutes and put up 28.5 fantasy points. So I think he's going to gain some ownership just because of that last game. But the game ended up blowing out, and he played the last 16 minutes, and he got the majority of his fantasy points in that blowout run when he was playing by himself. So he only played 8.5 minutes in the first half, and if you extrapolate that over the course of a game, that is only 17 minutes. 16 to 17 minutes at any price, it just really isn't all that enticing. And with him playing with other starters, I'm not really considering him all that much, because when he's out there on the court, he's either going to be playing next to Devin Booker or Chris Paul. So he's never going to be the main guy out there unless the game, of course, ends up blowing out. Move over to the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Portland Trail Blazers. Dillon Brooks is out. But yeah, without Dillon Brooks, D'Anthony Melton, Desmond Bane, their roles are very, very secure on this team, and they get one of the best matchups in the league against the Portland Trailblazers. We keep targeting Portland, and it is paying off for us. D'Anthony Melton, Desmond Bane, I love them. And then Steven Adams is only $5,300. All three of these guys I just mentioned should play 30-plus minutes easily, and they are just in that 5K range. And I like getting to them. I think they're very, very strong plays on tonight's slate. Ja Morant, I usually never play Ja just because amongst the stars of the league, if you consider him a star, the minutes just really are never there for him. He usually plays like 32, 34 minutes at most, but they're really pushing his minutes this year, more so than we saw last year. And so I'm more inclined to play him. But again, I think there are much better spend-up options on this slate. Move over to the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, I know a lot of people in the Discord are going to Damian Lillard. I mean, he's been playing awful, of course, and everybody knows this. And so his ownership is definitely going to be down in this game or on the slate. So if there was ever a time to play Damian Lillard, it'd be probably this game in this matchup. His usage has been down as well. It's down to 27%, but I think that's more of a case of him just deferring since he knows that he's not playing well, and so CJ McCollum is doing better because of that. But if you think things swap in this game specifically, yeah, 9,400 for Damian Lillard is pretty interesting. Norman Powell is questionable. I think he probably sits. If he does sit, I think Nasir Little, well, I'm pretty sure Nasir Little will end up grabbing the start. So Nick Claxton is out. Actually, that actually changes things. Let me finish this, and then we'll dig into the Nick Claxton stuff over on Add More Funds. But yeah, I think Nasir Little will grab the start again if Norman Powell is ruled out. He is a decent like secondary play, like cash filler. But depending on the Lakers news, if AD is playing, maybe I'd be more inclined to play Little. But if not, I'm not that interested. The last game of the slate, the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Isaac Okoro is doubtful. They were already running a 9-man rotation with the Cavs, and that was with Isaac Okoro playing 27 minutes per game. So this actually solidifies minutes for guys like Cedi Osman, Larry Markkinen, honestly, Ricky Rubio and Colin Sexton. I mean, it really just secures minutes for all of these starters, because I don't think they start to bring too many guys off the bench just because they miss one bench piece. So Jared Allen, Ricky Rubio, Larry Markkinen, I think are a bit too cheap on Draftkings at their respective positions. So I don't mind those guys. But yeah, I mean, they're unlikely to make many of my lineups. Move over to the Los Angeles Clippers. They are going to be without Kawhi Leonard, Jason Preston, Marcus Morris, and Serge Ibaka. Keon Johnson is questionable. This year, Paul George at 31.5% usage rating, 11.5 total rebound percentage, 25 assist percentage, averaging 1.65 fantasy points per minute. Going to be playing mid to high 30s minutes in competitive games. Vegas thinks this game stays within reaching distance, so I'm expecting a full allotment of minutes from him. Obviously, they blew out the Trailblazers last time out, and he was doing well fantasy-wise until he ended up not playing any minutes in the fourth quarter due to that blowout. But I'm going to keep going back to the well with Paul George. I think he is in a great spot, and with the current setup of this roster, I love Paul George. Reggie Jackson is going to play high 30s minutes every single game. He's $6,300. Played really well last game, but didn't get the fourth quarter burn. Much better play on FanDuel, I think, than DraftKings. He's only $5,600 over there. And then I like his over on Prize Picks, his fantasy points over there. And then Ivica Zubac, I mean, I don't know if I'm catching flack for this or whatever. I mean, he's one of the best plays on the entire slate at $4,800. Marcus Morris is out again, and so their ability to play small is diminished significantly. And they are playing a Cleveland team who has probably the biggest lineup in the entire league. I mean, they start Larry Markkinen at the 3. Larry Markkinen has gotten starts at center before, and you don't really consider him small ball. So they have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Larry Markkinen in the starting lineup, and they play big minutes. So I feel very confident in Zubac closing this game out. He was on pace to play 32 minutes last game out, like 32, 33 minutes. but the game ended up blowing out. He averages 1.15 fantasy points per minute. And, even though the Cleveland team is big, they are not very good defensively. I already took his overs prop on Prize Picks, but at $4,800, one of the best plays on the entire slate. And if Anthony Davis is ruled in and we don't get the Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan value, I'm going to be jamming Zubats in all of my lineups. I love Zubats tonight. I will plant my flag with him there, because the only problem with him has ever been is he going to close the game, or are they going to go small? They can't really go small with no Marcus Morris. I would also mention that Batum ended up starting for Morris last game, was on pace to play around 30 minutes at $3,600. He's definitely viable. All right, guys. Claxton is out. Okay, that is what we were going to dig into. Let's look at the rotations of the Brooklyn Nets, because Claxton being out actually does change some things. Now, this game, LaMarcus was out, so we have to keep that in mind. But I do agree, if Claxton is going to be out, I think that secures Bruce Brown's role on this team in that 30-minute range. So, yeah, I think he's a pretty solid play, but I want to see who's going to get the most minutes at the 5. So, Griffin's going to probably start at the 5. This is what they ended the year with. They ended the year with Blake Griffin starting at the 5. And so we're probably just going to get a relatively even split at the 5 between Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. Was Aldridge the guy off the bench for Claxton 2 games ago? So Claxton started and Aldridge came off the bench for him. Okay, so yeah, I think, or no, I can hardly tell. Is this Patty Mills? What time is this? 7:15. 6:40. Okay, so it was LaMarcus Aldridge off the bench. So I'm expecting Blake Griffin to get the start here, LaMarcus Aldridge to come off the bench. And, honestly, if LaMarcus is going to play, let's look at the Nets and see what Aldridge has been doing this year in terms of usage. He might be one of the better plays, value plays on this entire slate. See how much Griffin is as well. So Griffin's 4,800. That's probably a bit too expensive for me. Aldridge, though, 4,100, much more enticing. He's center only. He doesn't have power forward eligibility. That really sucks. Let's look at this year. Okay. So this year, LaMarcus Aldridge is averaging 1.08 fantasy points per minute. What's his usage at? 20%. Yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge is definitely a good play. It's just very unfortunate that he is center only. How much is he over here on FanDuel? 4,900. So more viable, but he is the same price as Precious Achiuwa, so that definitely sucks. Okay, and I will say for you guys, I mentioned it at the beginning of the stream, I would suggest fading this very first game since there is only one, and waiting for the Anthony Davis news so you can have more flexibility. So you actually have a lot more time than you think. Instead of having 27 minutes right now, 26 minutes, you have 56 minutes to figure out what you are going to end up doing if you fade that first game. I think for sure we'll get the Anthony Davis news before the next set of games. But yeah, I would just leave that first game. I wouldn't touch it just so we can get that news. And, also it would be much more advantageous if we get the news after lock, just because a lot of people are not going to move their lineups all that much. All right, I will answer some questions right here. 80 GTD. Yeah. Substitutes other than the core plays. What's the spin up plays for DK Cash? If 80 is in, I like 80 quite a bit. And then if 80 is in, also I'd be more fine with playing Karl Anthony Towns because some of the best center options are from the Lakers and they would not be viable if he is out. or if he is in rather. Suggs or Reddish. I'm gonna go with Suggs there. So DeAndre Hunter and Danilo Gallinari are back in the on the lineup now. So it definitely eats into their minutes. And I don't think Reddish plays as much. Suggs continues to lead the team in usage, and if he plays well, he's going to be rewarded with more minutes. So the upside is definitely there in tournaments. Melo or Barnes and Cash. So yeah, I think I know what you're looking at on FanDuel, if I assume. So if I like Melo if AD is out, but if AD is in, it's definitely Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes played 39 minutes last game in regulation. Bobby off the bench tonight. Yeah, so I was like somewhat interested in Bobby just because he is so active off the bench. See, I wish Aldridge was like this and had power forward eligibility so it could be a bit more flexible, but I guess he's fine in tournaments. He hasn't played yet this year. I'm unsure how many minutes he actually plays. LaMelo or Lillard on FanDuel GPP, they are the same price. I would go with LaMelo there. Thoughts on Blake on FanDuel, $4,300. Yeah, I guess I would consider Blake more than I would Aldridge on FanDuel at least. Zubats are a Lakers center if AD is out. Yeah, that's a tough thing. I would probably play Dwight there, just from like a point per minute standard, and then Zubats. But damn, Zubats is good. I mean, did they already announce Monk is starting? Because that'd be odd if they announced that, but not the AD news. But yeah, Steven Adams and Zubats, like if you just want to be really safe in cash games, like play those two guys at the center and utility spot. Matt has insider info, huh? Westbrook, Ingram, Anthony Edwards, Anunoby, Rashawn Holmes, or Al Horford, Steve Adams. The first one. Oh, wow. So, yeah, it looks like... Oh, wow. Oh, that's a great find. Okay. I'm actually going to hit this right now. This is why you joined the stream, and shout out Matt. Let me figure this out. We might have a big play on Prize Picks right now. A pretty sizable one that I would feel confident in. And the game ended up blowing out. I wonder how much he would have played right here. I think the first half might be the better under for him. Okay. Because I think they're more likely to push his minutes in the second half if they need him. So first half under is probably much better. So yeah, it looks like Dinwiddie is going to be somewhat limited today. Where are you, Dinwiddie? Yeah, I'm going to take... Oh, man, that's close, actually. So he played 11 minutes in the first half right here. Yeah, he like barely played. I'm going to take the under Spencer Dinwiddie first half minutes. And you could pretty much just... Anthony Davis will play. Okay. I'm going to get this play out, but Anthony Davis is playing, so... I'm going to be playing Anthony Davis personally. Okay. I'm going to take the Anthony Davis over, and I'm going to pair that with one of my favorite plays, which is the free throws under 5.5 for Kyle Lowry. I'm going to take the unders on both these. So under 16.5 Spencer Dinwiddie fantasy points. James Harden under 5.5 free throws. But I feel really good about the Spencer Dinwiddie stuff. You can't mix first half and full game. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just take full game then for Dinwiddie. And then I will have to make some updates. All right, so I'm going to take under 15.5 Spencer Dinwiddie real points and under 5.5 James Harden free throws. Okay, I'm going to have to update the Patreon, guys. But yeah, so with Anthony Davis in, I'm not really on Carmelo Anthony. I love AD. I don't care about the... I mean, if he is healthy enough to play, they're going to play him like the full allotment of minutes. They're not going to throw him out there and just like somewhat play him when he has a chance of re-injuring himself. So he must be like a full go. Russell Westbrook, also a lock. Why the Harden under free throws? He can't draw free throws anymore. Look how many attempts he's had. He has yet to attempt over 4 free throw attempts in a game so far this year. It's just he can't get to the line anymore with the new rules, or at least until he adjusts. Hard typing with a mic in front of you. AD or Giannis? I'd probably take this savings with AD, but you could play all 3 of the studs. I still think Rajon Rondo is largely unaffected by this, though. Any Rondo for GPP? Yeah, I think Rondo is still a fine tournament option for sure. Okay. There has been a update on Patreon, and I will update the FanDuel lineup right now. So prize picks is Dinwiddie real under and Harden's free throws under. Yes, fading 80. He's going to re-injure himself, bro. I feel it. Hey, man, I hope that lowers his ownership. Thoughts on... You think the Lakers, who have dealt with so many injuries, would push one of their players if they weren't healthy enough to play? I mean, they will sit LeBron or AD with like very, very minor injuries. Gallo or Portis? 4K guard or under? Probably Bruce Brown. And I still think Malik Monk is still like a lock. Like, that doesn't change anything for me. Westbrook, Monk, Bruce Brown, OG, Holmes, R. Jackson, and AD Zubats. Tony, give me like 1 second. I would just a reminder, guys, I would fade this first game so you can adjust accordingly. Bruce Brown or Malik Monk on FanDuel? Monk for sure. Adams, Bane, Rondo versus Holmes, Batum, Bruce. Probably the Adams side for sure. Oh, Sarah G, I got you. Westbrook, Monk, Brown, OG, Holmes, R. Jackson, 80, Zubats. Yeah, I mean, I like everything up part of that lineup, so definitely in on that. Yo, if you guys are in here, haven't done so already, would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe. I'm almost at 100 subscribers. That has been my goal by the end of the year. So if we can hit 100, that would be real nice. Precious or Zubats, DK Cash? I like Zubats more. Yeah, they didn't even add them this morning because when I was making my video, I was gonna like make some more plays on them, but I think they smartened up a little bit. All right, guys, the FanDuel lineup. Has been updated. Likes are also greatly appreciated, guys. Okay, so the FanDuel lineup is up, guys, if you guys want to check that out. But man, you guys can definitely get away with playing, you know, Westbrook, AD, and Giannis today. There's value plays to do it. I mean, especially you can get like good value plays too. Like you could play Zubats, you could play Adams, Precious, and then like Bruce Brown is still fine. Thoughts on Xavier Tillman? So yeah, I was surprised he even got into the rotation last game after not getting in the first couple of games. I'm not considering him at all. What you got, Matt? Yeah, your DM, that was that's wild, to be honest. Favorite FanDuel 2v2 pivot? You know, probably from Brown to Dort, and then Oubre to someone like Franz Wagner. You rolling AD? Absolutely. Rondo and Precious or Little and Zubats? Little and Zubats. Can you rank Zubats, Precious, Giddey, Bane? Yeah, Zubats first, then Precious, then Bane, then Giddey. On Bane and Melton, yep, Bane and Melton definitely viable. All right, let's get some questions, guys, because now that we have that news, we have all of these news on the slate, you know, at least from what we were looking for. We should be set up pretty well now. I'll actually go over some like roster construction builds with you guys. I think you guys would appreciate that, but let's just jump into that. Adams or Precious? Adams. Both good, though. Both good plays. Actually, hold up. Same starting lineup for the Pelicans. I don't even know what this is. This is like on autoplay after what I usually play. So whenever that like 37-minute video runs up, it just moves to this. Which, whatever, that's fine with me. LaMelo viable DKGP? Absolutely. Oh, 3,900 utility on DraftKings besides Monk and Brown. Probably Nasir Little, but you're hoping that Norman Powell sits, because if Powell is playing, then it's not viable. I may have a new FanDuel lineup because I just thought of something. Are you on favorites tonight? I am not. Do you think Reddish is still viable with Hunter and Gallo back? I do not. There's a lot of good plays in that range, and Reddish is not one of the guys I'm targeting. Ja over 41.5 and Adams over 30 points on prize picks against Portland seems solid, right? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty solid. I mean, especially with the minutes that Ja's getting now. I bet you do, Tony. Okay. Zubats or Achua. Okay, we can get to these questions and we can start rifling these off. Trent or Dort? It's going to be Trent for me. His minutes are much more secure. Like Dort, they'll go away from like the starters on OKC if like the backups are playing better. And also it is on, I know you're talking about DraftKings, so Gary Trent Jr. gets that 3-point bonus. So that's why I slightly prefer him. You know, his minutes are more secure and he's more suitable for DraftKings than Lou Dort is. Lou Dort, much better FanDuel play. Okay, what do you think of Westbrook, Monk, Davis, Valanciunas, Bane, Melton, Adams, Bruce Brown? I like all those guys. What's up with the elevator music? I mean, I guess this is pretty polarizing music, no? Any point guard cheap you like on FanDuel? I don't mind Rajon Rondo. Interested in Morant? More so than I usually am, but he's just in that price range around AD, Westbrook, that it's hard for me to get to him. If you're playing all three, I think that's fine, but I definitely prefer those two other guys to him. Favorite values? Favorite values as of right now, probably Bruce Brown, Malik Monk for sure, Precious Achua, Ivica Zubats, Duarte or Oubre. Oubre for me. Favorite value? I just went over that. Better GPP play, Sabonis or AD? I'd still play AD over Sabonis anyways. Bane or Man? Bane for sure. Van Fleet, Ball, or Brogdon? Oh, man. I mean, it's probably Ball amongst those guys. Yeah, the setup, like, really changed night and day within, like, one day. Portis? I'm not really on Portis. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play off the bench. Little or Bruce Brown? If we knew that Powell was going to sit, I would prefer Little, but I don't think we're going to get that news until much later, so I would probably just be safe and go with Bruce Brown. Russell Westbrook, Monk, Brown, AD, ABC, Rondo, Bane, and Zubats, DK. Run it. I love that. Although Bane, yeah, I like that. I was going to say you could play Precious over Bane if you move AD to the forward spot. But I like that lineup a ton. Oh, Norman Powell officially ruled out. Okay, so Nasir Little, a good play for sure. Like, yeah, so Nasir Little's definitely viable. I mean, the timing on that was impeccable. Yeah, Pal out. I wonder, they probably don't have anything, any prosper Nasir Little. I don't think that's going to happen. Gary Trent or Bane? Going to be Bane for me. So would you choose Nasir Little over Brown? Yeah, I think Little's a bit safer than Bruce Brown. But, I mean, if you're playing all three studs, with Nasir Little opening up like that, it just makes it really easy to fit in Giannis, AD, and Westbrook. Little or Trent. You'll make sure to hit that like button. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. Little or Brown straight up? I think Little. Giannis or AD on FanDuel? Both. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with AD. I mean, I'd probably go with Giannis, to be honest, if I had to choose one. But damn. Just because they're so much closer priced on FanDuel. DraftKings is a little bit different. Little or Bane? Bane for sure. Davion Mitchell had like a career, like that might be like his best shooting night ever. And he still barely cleared 20 fantasy points. Monk or Brown? FanDuel? Monk for sure. Monk is a must play for me. OG or Harrison Barnes? I'd probably go with OG there. Do you like Wendell Carter on FanDuel? No, not really. Westbrook, Davis, Valanciunas, Adams, Monk, Bane, Melton, and Little. What do you think? I like that. Really heavy on the Grizz, but I like it. I mean, you have Joe Val, Westbrook, Davis. I mean, I really like that lineup. Is Batum a good option on DK? I prefer Little and Bruce Brown to Batum in that range, and Monk as well, but he's still fine. Do you like Horford? I do like Horford today. Taking down the $40. Let's get it then. Any love from Mikal Bridges for 5K? I feel like he's getting overlooked tonight. Yeah, I talked about it a bit in my video earlier. You know, he should play mid-30s minutes in these competitive games. He is underpriced at 5K for sure. I just prefer like those Grizzlies guys in that price range, as well as Zubats and Precious. Mitchell going to get four steals tonight, trust. Let's see it. He had like nothing last game in terms of steals. And blocks. Zubats or Achua. It's slightly in Zubats. Trey, Monk, OG, Giannis, Jonas, Rondo, Brown, Zubats good on DK. Yep. Do you like Aldridge? I think Aldridge is a fine play today. It's just unfortunate that he is center only. Middleton or Jaylen Brown? Gonna go with Middleton there. 3,500 util DK cash. Remember, guys, there's only one game that locks right now, so you can still change a ton. I mean, 3,500 and less. I mean, if Derek... if you're talking about straight utility, I don't hate Derek Favors. Probably not going there, though. It's probably going to end up being Rajon Rondo for me in that range, though. Graham, Westbrook, Monk, Brown, Giannis, Little, Davis, Horford, Zubats, Fanduel, single entry. Yeah, I don't dislike any of those guys. Trey, Monk, OG, Giannis, Jonas, Rondo, Brown, Zubats, good on DK. Yep. I swear you just said that. Oh, you did. Hey, I appreciate that, Sam. Do you think Man is viable? No, not really. Man got like seriously extended minutes last game in the blowout, especially when Hartenstein got hurt or fouled out rather. Claxton still out. Yeah, Claxton is ruled out. Power forward on FanDuel 4.1K or under. Is there anybody? Yeah, this is gross. I mean, it's probably Favors right there, but man, that's not very enticing. Power forward on FanDuel. Oh, I just read that. Like McGee. No, I am not on JaVale McGee. All right, guys. Well, there shouldn't be. Okay, so Bruce Brown is officially starting. So I do like Bruce Brown a ton. So if you guys are playing Bruce Brown, stick with it. Yeah, Bruce Brown's starting. So it's Harden, Brown, Harris, Durant, Griffin. LaMarcus Aldridge going to come off the bench and play with Griffin as well. So yeah, I like Bruce Brown a ton. Carmelo or Precious? Precious now. Now, if AD was out, I'd like Carmelo more, but I need to figure out how to like autoplay something else. I'm such a boomer, dude. So now Brown or Little. Yeah, it's tough, man. Choosing between the two. It's probably Little, but man, I'd play both if you're, well, at least if you're trying to get multiple. Yeah, Uber is going to play big minutes tonight. Brown or Little now that they're both starting. I still slightly prefer Little, I suppose, but both really good plays. All right, guys, it is after lock time. I appreciate you guys being here. I will be here every single day, an hour before lock. I also post my videos in the morning before lock. Dropping likes, subscribing. That is the #1 way of supporting me. But let's get it tonight. Let's go Lakers.